na ila lotu ya mukula lotu we muchiri mushawa mashani ala wabina wengi na pashipa tarara iwe wabina wengi na pashipa tarara Noma baby to binyichi Wasala kusi aseo tulila Adada mulale muchibote Bengi maya Ichichena chakalipa Wakulekela we mwine ututule wefumu Bengi watusha Ichichena chafinisha Wakulekela we mwine ututule wefumu Wakulekela we mwine Ichichena chafina Wena chakulisha Tutule Wakulekela we mwine
Umumwakwenda na umfwila kasebo Abati umopaliwe Anakila kumushini Umwajilinga wenkondo Halume ya chabo Aponye mfuti ya Aya Wenda mutende Wenda wayinina Tukesa umana
Bengi maya Ichichena chakalipa Wakulekela we mwine ututule wefumu Bengi watusha Ichichena chafinisha Wakulekela we mwine ututule wefumu Tutule wefumu Wakulekela we mwine Ichichena chafina Wena chakulisha Tutule Wakulekela we mwine Bengi maya Ichichena chakalipa Wakulekela we mwine Tutule wefumu Bengi watusha Ichichena chafinisha Wakulekela we mwine Tutule wefumu
Amitapendwa ya vintu ifisume vyoza kula kuibukisha Kana depotimo Wimbo watemenwa katongi Abazunga batita katongi Nakula kuibukisha kateka Kaibukubuna kapona Neseko siove pamenso Yangu ama umebaya Iyaba ume Iyaba ume Kateka wabantu Twakulila lelo twakulila Shika kukonke milimo shove Ale filamba Yena minta pengosile Deti kume mokula dolole avale Lilo wingi
Iseko wingi mwakwete Iseso wingi mwakwete Mwaya mwende wino tatawesu
Katusi muchi wakege Wali bomba kale Lomba mwatu jatuleli lake Mufangana chiba
Wednesday, August 20th, 2025. We bring you today Honorable Mutotwe Kafwaya. He's Member of Parliament for Lunte in Northern Province and is a former Minister of Transport and Communications. There's so much to talk about. Every day there's a huge occurrence. Currently the country is discussing the sad death of a young man, Enoch Simfukwe Kasengele, a 22-year-old young man, went from Kabanana to visit his mother that lives in Chisamba area where Maria Zalomis' farm is, Mazoka's farm is, some nearby farms there. And the young man met his death in a brutal manner. He was beaten, tortured, tied, and he lost his life. He was taken to Kabwe Central Hospital where he died. Now, the farm belongs to Maria Zalomis. A video leaked, and you can see Maria and her new partner, Nathaniel Bathraham, in the video. You can even hear her questioning the victim, that who sent you, who sent you. And you can hear the young man pleading for his life. He says, na munka kankakululeni munka kefuti, because my blood is not passing. Today, the police in Central Province, Ele Mekanichiro, Deputy Commanding Officer, Central Province, has issued a statement that they've suspects to the alleged murder, and they've excluded Maria Zalomis. This is an outcry because people saw the video. They saw she was in the video. She was directing. And the allegation is that the young man, the deceased, was sent by a person who's identified as Fatima, who's apparently the legally wedded wife to Nathaniel Bathram from Botswana, and that there's an allegation that she gave this young man sulfuric acid to pour on Maria Zalomis. Now, this entire saga has been made worse by attempt by the state to, I think, cover up the statements from our dear brother, Ray Hamonga, have exacerbated the matters because he immediately sprang to the defense of Maria Zalomis, said she acted in self-defense. No, this was an intruder at their farm. And now Central Province has issued a statement, Lemekanichira, Deputy Commanding Officer, saying that Maria is not involved. Now you know what the law is. If a death occurs at your farm, and if you are present and you have not stopped your workers from beating to death, you are a co-conspirator to the murder. Only the court can determine whether you have a murder charge or you have a lesser case of manslaughter. But the police at this stage cannot exclude Maria Zalomis. You've seen pictures of Maria Zalomis with the president. She's a daughter to the Electoral Commission of Zambia chairperson. There's another matter. The president has been issuing a lot of statements that he will never allow his children to be in public sector, in civil service or public sector. Then we saw at a commissioning parade of ZNS cadet officers, it emerged, it leaked that the president's son was among those officers commissioned. A copy was sent to me. I published that picture. We saw a vitriolic attack from Clayson Amasaka from State House that we're just blowing up a matter. It's a matter we should celebrate because the president had offered his own son to participate in a voluntary scheme that the ZNS were running. Now, what was funny about this is that ZNS has not commenced the program. The program is yet to be funded for voluntary training. And other technical issues emerged. Number one, what is a volunteer doing among commissioned officers? That immediately is a red flag. The volunteer can never be commissioned by the head of state, who's a commander-in-chief. And the volunteer scheme has not started. It hasn't been funded. And youths from constituencies, district, provinces have not been picked yet. So what are they talking about? So immediately that argument by State House collapsed. Then we saw a huge press conference by the PS Information Media, ZNS spokesperson, and Ministry of Defense PS, in which now they confirmed that in fact the young man, Kafwaya Hichilema, was not a volunteer, but instead was a commissioned officer who had participated in the training and graduated at a commissioning parade we saw, and that he had started a career in the military, and that we Zambians must respect the choice of the young man. Many people have been confused about this, that we should be celebrating the decision by this young man to join the army. Look at Dr. Kaunda. He had Wezi Kaunda, who rose to the rank of a major, and we had Panji Kaunda, who rose to the position of colonel, and he went to even reputed military schools in the United Kingdom. So they said, what is a fuss? Well, the fuss is the president lied. The president said none of his children will participate in the public sector. Even as late as the other day, the president was saying he has sent his children to military training because he finds they are fragile, that the young people which we are raising, and which you and I may agree with, are quite fragile, especially when we our parents suffered, and then we give them this new lifestyle. The children have a habit of becoming more fragile. There's even that saying that I've been posting on the on my page that when you come from a hard life, unfortunately you produce soft life. Then the soft life will produce hard life. Again, the cycle goes like that. So the president said he had sent his children. We are only aware of one, but he said he has sent children to military training because he wants to take away the fragility of the children. That, again, statement differs fundamentally from what the president, from the facts. Here, ZNS is telling us that this is our officer. We've trained him. He's now a lieutenant, and he has begun a life in the military. The problem is not any of this. Dr. Kaunda was very open about the process. This young man was taken under fraud, under unknown names, identity hidden. His colleagues didn't know who he was. The trainers didn't know who he was. The justification by State House is that this was done, that the young man is treated like any other ordinary issue. But the army is a highly ethical area. So there are all these issues. Then there is a state of the economy where Honorable Mutotwe Kafwaya is very strong, and that's the reason I have brought him to discuss the issues of these audits from ZMMSA and Ministry of Health that have not been made public. Their work in Parliament. And I'll just play a few videos, and I'll invite Honorable Mutotwe Kafwaya to come and be with us. We begin the conversation. Thank you for joining us. Share, 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 share. I think let's get this news out. We are discussing 3 critical items: the death of a young man, Enoch Simfukwe, in Central Province. A postmortem was done. We have the medical records that show that the young man was beaten to death, tortured, and he had injuries to his head. We have the issue of the young man, Kafwaya Hichilema, the president's son, who was admitted to service in the Zambia National Service, underwent military training, and was commissioned as an officer cadet, and he has begun his life as a military officer, as a lieutenant, Kafwaya Hichilema. Then there are all these issues that Honorable Mutotwe Kafwaya will help us unpack. So share the broadcast as we now embark on this discussion.
Personally, stopping national service was a great mistake. I'm honest with you. Those of us who went for national service, reflect on society today, what the kids are doing, the vulnerabilities that they go through, the fragility that you see in them. My own children, I can see that. And I've decided personally to send my children for military training. Not because they need to work in the military, but because they can acquire some resilience, life survival skills. Just don't, even when we thrust them into business, into employment, those disciplines are very, very helpful. And as a government, we are now starting with, as our resource envelope improves, with what we are calling voluntary national service. And I think there will be a lot of young guys taking up that voluntary national service.
The newly commissioned ZNS officer, Lieutenant Hawera Hichilema, son of the Republican president who was part of the ZNS officers commissioned on 15th August, earned his rank through sweat and fin after successfully completing the rigorous military training.
The first family raised a very fine young officer who has admirable respect for others. Those pips that you saw shining on his shoulders, or the ranks that you saw shining on his shoulders during the commissioning day, those were deservedly earned. The officer earned that through hard work, through perseverance, and through resilience. As indicated, there was no special treatment that was given to him, and he worked hard for him to earn those pips or the ranks that you saw shining on his shoulders.
PS Minister of Information and Media Tao Kawana and Lieutenant Hichilema's intake mates said he trained as an ordinary citizen.
Officers that he was training with. He participated in all training activities, including bush exercises, with the same dedication as his fellow officer cadets. During the bush exercise, he dug his own trench like all other cadets and slept in it for 1 week. The depth of the trench is a full height of the trainee with raised arms. He demonstrated toughness, hard work, and determination throughout the rigorous military training, embracing the challenges involved.
It is sad to learn that the allegations that he never trained, he was not with us from the beginning of training. I think the saddest thing that you could ever do to one who has trained in a military training is to take away the training experience from them, to claim that they have not done what everybody has basically done is something that would be very wrong to do, because it's what we pride about. It's something that we rejoice about. It's something that when we look back makes us proud.
How we have come from the breakdown period to where we are now, and then have somebody come and take that away from him is really, really unfair. So please don't.
PS in the Ministry of Defense, Mambo Hamaundo, gave an update on the ZNS voluntary training program.
1,092 of them, 406.
My children, my biological children, have been stopped by me and my wife from working for government. None of them work for government. Why? It's to leave space for your children, yourself, to work for the government. Because HH's children are privileged. Now that they are privileged, they must allow others to also have access to income. Same principle. Same principle. I am funded by myself. The little investments we made when we were working for ourselves for such a long time, and a difficult time, is now to allow others to have access to opportunity. That's why I'm in public office. That's why I serve public office. Is that not a good thing? Wonderful. My children, my biological children, have been stopped by me and my wife from working for government. None of them work for government. Why? It's to leave space for your children, yourself, to work for the government. Because HH's children are privileged. Now that they are privileged, they must allow others to also have access to income. Same principle. Same principle. I am funded by myself. The little investments we made when we were working for ourselves for such a long time, and a difficult time, is now to allow others to have access to opportunity. That's why I'm in public office. That's why I serve public office.
Thank you, Honorable Mutotwe Kafwaya. Welcome to today's program, and how have you been?
Good day to you, Honorable Mwamba. Here in Zambia, it's in the evening. I've been all right. Thank you so much for having me.
Thank you for sparing time. You know, the challenges of power, the challenges of internet in our country. I'm glad that you found time to make it. How's the constituency? How's Lunte?
Well, Lunte is more like everywhere else. Where people talk, some people talk hard and long in praise of what is happening, but when you go to detail, you find there's just nothing that is happening. So we do have challenges in Lunte. I think I'm in Lusaka now. In Lusaka, there's load shedding. People are having to go with only 5 hours of power in a day of 24 hours. So it's a serious problem we are in.
Before we go to the reason you are on this program, Honorable Mutotwe Kafwaya, you can comment about the two major issues that the country is discussing. The matter of the daughter of Honorable Mwangala Zalomis, who's a chairperson for the Electoral Commission of Zambia. It's not the first time that she's been in the news. She's been in the news for social issues. But now there is a serious matter of an alleged murder that took place at her farm. And there's a video that leaked out that has prompted this outrage, in which she appears in the video. And you can see her and her partner in the video. But from day one, it appears that the police have been determined to exclude her, including the final statement that has been issued by Central Province. What are your reflections?
Thank you so much, Ambassador. Ambassador, I want to inform you that in our country, we can record deaths for various reasons. President Edgar Lungu is dead because he was denied a chance to go and seek medical attention on time. Today we are talking about Enoch, who is dead because he was beaten. If we go to Northern Province, I can give you examples of some of my young brothers, like Mukuka, who is dead because he was shot dead. So we have all these issues. And I think we have to call upon the UPND government to begin to support people so that we don't experience needless death. I think that if President Edgar Lungu was supported by UPND government, we would still have President Lungu today. If UPND government had cultivated a culture of love, a culture of tolerance, Enoch Simfukwe would not be dead. So the one thing I would like to say to those who have lost their loved ones, I think I would like to begin with the former first family, Mama Esther Lungu, Mama Berita Lungu, Tasila Lungu and all her siblings, the uncles and nephews of the late President Edgar Lungu. For us, we are with you. We think that it's important for us to keep supporting you, and we will continue to support you because that's a noble thing to do. We supported President Edgar Lungu when he was alive, and we continue to support you. And for Enoch's family, all those uncles and nephews and brothers and sisters who have lost this young man, it's terribly unfortunate. It is something that should not happen in our country. So I would like to just say, I am sorry that in Zambia, things such as this, can have a place and be condoned, and you still hear the possibilities of, justice which is not balanced, justice which is not taking everybody to account. It's just more like the UPND government, a government which does not want to account for anything significant. Now you take it to the application of the law, it's chaotic. Our country needs to transform itself into one where we are able to make people account for their actions. And I do think that it's shameful for government that the Zambia police, it can be all over the place, just in handling a matter that is so straightforward, a matter that is so excruciating to a family that has lost a very young person. So empathy is needed, love is needed, and the country requires to return, to normalcy. By that I mean the country requires to return to a system that is able to offer support to people.
Yeah, the saga regarding the late president remains a matter of concern. He died on 5th June. To date, he has not been put to rest, partly because of this huge dispute on the role that the Republican president must play in his funeral, and which then made a very difficult decision for the family to bury, for now, the late president in South Africa. What are your, I know you've just given us some insights about that, but what is your reflection about this impasse and how can we resolve it?
Ambassador, we have not buried late President Edgar Lungu because UPND government took the bereaved family to court. That is the only reason Edgar Lungu remains unburied to date. And the family of President Edgar Lungu refused to bring the remains of President Edgar Lungu to Zambia because, according to them, President Edgar Lungu told them that President Hakainde Hichilema must be nowhere near his casket or near his body. But from what we saw from the program which was published after the family and government agreed that the remains of late President Edgar Lungu should return to Zambia, we saw that the person who was rejected, he was actually going to be the first one to view or to welcome the casket, to view the body. And he was the only one who was going to attend what they were calling a church service at a designated place at the Lusaka International Airport. So that conflicted the wishes of the deceased, which wishes the bereaved family want to fulfill. So because of that, the family then said, we are going to bury in South Africa. And many of us traveled to South Africa to go and witness that burial. Hardly did we know that the UPND government had another idea, which was to go to court and stop the burial. So we are here basically, number one, because President Edgar Lungu is dead. Why is he dead? He's dead because he went to hospital late. Why did he go to hospital late? He went to hospital late because UPND government stopped him from traveling on time. And after that happened, he could not be buried in Zambia because President Hakainde Hichilema was going to be near his casket, was going to be near his body, which he didn't want, which the family, want to be fulfilled. And thirdly, because after this disagreement, the family decided to bury President Edgar Lungu, at least temporarily, in South Africa. But UPND government went to court. So we are here because UPND government stopped the burial of President Edgar Lungu. And the government has got power. They've got more power. They've got more resources. They can affect anyone. Government is capable of even stopping a postmortem of even a young man like Enoch. Enoch, where the family wants a postmortem, you might just be surprised that the government is saying there will be no postmortem because they have power. But let me tell you, the people of Zambia who gave the mandate to the UPND government to preside over their affairs are seeing all these things. They are seeing the injustices, that are exerted towards the Lungu family. They are seeing the injustices that are exerted towards the Zambian people in general. And if you think ill of Enoch Simfukwe, because maybe those people who are involved or who are alleged to be involved in his murder, are connected people. Sorry, many of us are not connected, and we wish to be like those who are connected. So it is just very important for government to create a climate that is going to offer support, not only to the connected, not only to those from whom UPND think they are going to benefit during elections, but also, from those like us who are just going to vote, because we may vote them out. It's very important, in my view, that they see the importance of creating a climate of fairness, a climate of equity, a climate of, equal opportunity.
Yeah, I want to bring the matter of the economy now, but the young lady, Maria Zalom, is popularly known as Z Farmer. She has various pictures with the president. She's a daughter to one of the persons holding a very key institution, the Electoral Commission of Zambia. And citizens from day one feel that she's being favored. Now, let's go to the economy. There are a lot of bars by the UPND government and President Hakainde Hichilema showing reports that the economy is now doing very well, that will be posting growth of 6%. That this year we did growth of 4.6%. And with the investment in the mining sector, the economy is on its way. Let's play this video. Then we begin to discuss the state of the economy and from your perspective, where we are.
Can I back it up with some numbers? Yep. Inflation is coming down. Like I said, when inflation is coming down, it's a signal that the odds of expansionary monetary policy are widening. You look at the government security curve, it's come down significantly. Interest rates are far lower, term funding down. Exchange rate stable. This is in the domestic market. When we go global, how insulated have we been from most of the things that are happening? I'd be worried about copper, but the prices are fairly healthy. Production is going up, so you can see that to some degree we have a shield and a buffer towards some of the headwinds we are seeing. Of course, we're still grappling with energy deficits, but it's not as bad as it was last year. The odds of a rate cut, I would say 78%, Mwelwa, of a rate cut. And if there was a rate cut, I would say it's 50 basis points. They want to do it in piecemeal and understand. So, two things. They could either keep rates unchanged at 14.5%, or they could start to loosen monetary policy by maybe 50 basis points to 14%, and then look at what this quarter has, and then eventually loosen it. But I'm still concerned about the elevated cash reserves. 26% is pretty much high, because then you have a lot of liquidity tied up, but then there are also other factors at play. But I think that if I compare last MPC meeting to this MPC meeting, I think the macros are looking better. But there has to be a balance between your monetary and your fiscal policy. Fiscal policy is now not where it's supposed to be, but in a far much better position. And I think that we could now start to see monetary policy clutch in and respond positively rather than adversely. So 50 basis point cut to rates unchanged.
Mutisunge Zulu there from Financial Insights. I picked their video courtesy of Financial Insights. Is giving a very optimistic picture, but the picture is not as presented. We're burdened by a huge debt. As we heard, from Grieve Chelwa, Dr. Grieve Chelwa, our debt has not even been properly restructured, and we'll be paying debt repayment beginning this year is to be about $1 billion. Next year, 1.2 billion, and it's cascading. Yet we're supposed to have a debt restructure. The local debt, is sitting at a huge amount, something like 10 to 12 billion dollars. The bulk of it is in treasury bonds and government bonds. And the bulk of that money, like I said, is just not to contractors, suppliers that government has in domestic debt. It also is owed to banks. And we understand that a huge amount of 75 billion kwacha of treasury bonds and bills is maturing this year. The Minister of Finance has not spoken about it and how you restructure it. 75 billion kwacha, which is due today, mostly owed by banks, can threaten the health and sound financial status of banks. 75 billion kwacha in dollar terms is over about $3.5 billion. So the economy may not be as nice as it is being presented. Looking at the cost of living, the legacy issues of unemployment and poverty and all this, they are hinging on just two parameters: that we've got a good bumper harvest and that the exchange rate market is stable. And we don't even know if it is stable at all. So let me bring you for your comment, and I hear what your views are about what is the state of our economy.
Okay, so thank you very much, Ambassador. It's a very loaded and a very important question that you ask, because I think the economy must be talked about more than anything else. But unfortunately, in our country, we have found ourselves in a situation where we speak more about the misgovernance of the UPND, because the UPND has just been way over the top in terms of misgoverning the nation. Now, there are people who think that we are looking up in terms of our economy. My thinking is that we are in a terrible situation. There is literally no economy in our country. Because the very easy things that can help us to look up are damaged to the core. Look, Ambassador, for an economy to exist, you have to have business. It is business which generates opportunities, whether those are investment opportunities or they are employment opportunities. Business must exist. But ask all the businessmen and women. There is literally no business in our country. Our economy has collapsed. Parmalat has closed the production plant in Zambia, citing a poor economic climate. This is exactly what has happened to Okadeco. Okadeco has closed their biggest outlet, which was on Kafwaya Road, because of poor economic climate. I do recall reading a letter from Diego Casili not so long ago, where he complained about the economic climate. And I know a lot of people today, Ambassador, if you drive along Ring Road, the commonly known as Ring Road, which is actually Tokyo Way, the road which leads to where President Hakainde lives, they have cleared all those kiosks which were there. I have been informed that the reason for clearing those small businesses is because the visitors who are visiting President Hakainde have to pass through a road which has got two timbers, and it's not painting a good picture. So they went to Chris Corner, cleared all Amantemba. They went the whole road. They have cleared Amantemba so that the people can have a good picture. Remember, Emmanuel, how UPND cleared off the mobile money booths along along Greatest Road and downtown, because we're going to have a meeting at Mulungushi. And UPND was doing that because of foreigners. The UPND may have done that because of people who are coming to see President Hakainde Hichilema. I live in that area. I know the way the area is, and I do think that I am not affected by people who are literally just surviving in this bad economy. But yes, they are doing so to favor those visitors, to favor foreigners. And this is what is happening. This reflects what is happening in the entire economy. Where, my brother, this country now is capable of digging sand in form of copper concentrates and export it to another country for production. And when you ask a question, the minister is going to tell you that no, we have no smelting capacity. But meantime, in Chambishi, investors are closing smelters because there's no concentrate. So you have a very serious problem in our country. If you want to increase the amount of copper that is produced, how do you do that by exporting concentrates? When you export a concentrate, it's no longer in your hands. The copper that will come out or whatever else that is going to come out is not yours. So how do you then say when we export, we're going to increase output and therefore increase mineral royalty tax? Do you know that the concentrate does not pay mineral royalty tax? So are you trying, is it another way of running away from paying mineral royalty tax? Do you know that exporting concentrate, it means exporting jobs? You are literally stopping jobs in your own country. Do you know that exporting concentrates means that the output and all the byproducts, whether that is gold, whether that is whatever minerals that will come out as you know, the byproducts will not be accounted for in your country? How much revenue are you losing? How much job opportunities are you foregoing? How much business activity are you just circumventing as a result of taking those very careless decisions? But these are the decisions that UPND is going to tell you will grow the economy. No, these will damage the economy. Outside of this, Emmanuel, we have a situation where, as I said earlier, you have 5 hours of power. 5 hours out of 24 hours. So how can you grow the economy? How can you look up, even if you are an optimistic man or woman, how can you look up when the only time you have power in a day is 5 hours, and it is not even guaranteed as to whether that power is going to be there during the productive period of hours? Because all of the people who are employed, as far as I know, have got job contracts. And when you have a job contract, you work according to the contract. If you are told your working hours is from 8 a.m. into 5 p.m. And the power comes at 10 p.m. for another 5 hours, how would you produce? Is the company going to call you back to work? So you have a disastrous situation. And what is required now is to start telling the people the truth. Do you know that even CTF loans are not performing? Now some councils are having to go to court. The council is going to court in order for CTF loans, to be repaid. People who borrowed have got no money. The money has been wasted because the government has destroyed, the economic environment. A part of the reason, Emmanuel, why this economy is destroyed is because of the desire that President Hakainde had in the beginning of his tenure. He said, in particular to those in PF, that very soon, you chaps in PF, you won't even be able to service cars. I will make sure that you can't even service cars. You'll be so broke that those cars are going to be packed. Those big cars you have are going to be packed. Now, what has happened is that it's not only the PF members who have packed cars. It is all the Zambians who can't have business opportunities. Because the other day I saw a list of suppliers to Mopani, and we were told this list has to be crafted from some high office. So if you don't have anybody in those high offices so as to put your name on that list to supply Mopani in Kitwe and in Frila, you are in trouble. You won't be able to have any business. Now, how do you create an environment, that is so bad, and still think that you are going to develop, to grow the economy? But in any case, these economic growth numbers, where are they coming from? Excuse me about that. We only have one entity in Zambia which is mandated to produce information such as that, and that is a ZMStat. Now, is it the same Zamstat which produced the census? If you recall, Ambassador Mwamba, Zamstat produced the census report. Zamstat is a government institution under the Ministry of Finance. But another government agent from another ministry came and disputed the Zamstat numbers and said that 15 wards in Southern Province were showing wrong numbers. I am not competent to explain where that person was getting the credible numbers, but I can tell you that this person said even the head of state was unhappy because those words in Southern Province were not well reflected. I don't know what Zamstat has done now, whether Zamstat has amended the census report. Now, if Zamstat's reports are not credible, how are you going to find credibility in what they are telling you in terms of, all these, economic growth numbers? Let me remind you, in 2024, UPND had actually planned to grow the economy by 4.8%. What happened? There was at 2023. What happened was they revised that to 2.3%. And then IMF came and revised it further down to 1.3%. Before long, IMF came back and said, actually, it's not 1.3, it is 1.25%. So from a 4.8 to a 1.25 revision by government and IMF, that was a very bad way of looking at growth. However, somebody is going to say, no, but we are growing in the positive. When PF was there, we were in the negative, and we know that the entire world was closed because of COVID-19. Therefore, you can't pretend that you are growing when you have COVID-19. You can't, look, PF could not behave like UPND. UPND who are pretending now that things are okay in the country when things are so bad. For us, it was clear there was a recession, and that recession was caused by nothing other than the COVID-19 pandemic. So we also know that we had a drought during the UPNG, and the UPNG have some form of reason to say we slowed down because of the drought. But the drought was foretold. It was known that we were going to have a drought, and it was known this drought was going to affect the southern part of the country much more than the northern part of the country. What did UPND do? They gave farming inputs more to the southern part of the country, more than the northern part of the country, which was going to have rain. A poor decision, a poor choice made by government when they know very well that in this part of the country there's going to be a problem. So clearly, not just the act of God, which was a drought, was a reason, but also the poor choices that were made by the UPND government. So as I said earlier, we have come to a point where government must take sensible decisions. Government must be honest. Government must be able to say, this is the position we are in, and for us to come out of this position, we need to take the following measures. Look, my brother Emmanuel, this strong desire by UPND government to project a positive picture. Today, in their budget, they don't show you the gross domestic borrowing. They show you the net. And what they say is, we are going to, for example, in 2025, they had said they were going to borrow locally 78 billion kwacha. Okay? And out of that 78 billion kwacha, they were going to use 63 billion kwacha for settling maturities within 2025. I asked them, a number of questions. I think in accounting, there's what we call concept. And I said, look, just report what you are going to borrow on one sheet and then report what you are going to settle on another sheet so that the people can know that you are borrowing 78 billion. But what they report is a net borrowing of just around 14 billion. And then they came back, or is a difference between 78 and 63. I have to do a quick calculation. So you have a government which is so hell-bent on projecting a picture which is non-existent. After restructuring the debt, why should we go back to paying $1 billion per annum in coupon payments? Because remember that we were defaulting in 2020 when we were paying just about the same amount. Now we have spent all these years trying to restructure the debt, and we have been told that they have agreed by 99%, but only around 50% has been restructured. But you are still saying we'll be paying 1 billion. Then what was the use of restructuring? Let me tell you, we are going back to these numbers because of the borrowing that has continued. While a few instruments could have been restructured, but UPND has borrowed more. So we are back to where we began. And we are in a serious situation as a country. We may end up, going back to defaulting if we're not careful. But this money is little money. If you look at how much money leaves the country on an annual basis. In the middle of this year, FIC reported that UPND has allowed 3.5 billion United States dollars to fly out of the country in illicit financial flows. So you are supposed to, to tighten controls and make sure that you stop leaking these amounts of monies out of the country. And I think for that to happen, UPND needs to be accountable. UPND needs to listen to people who know how to govern the nation and who know what it means to be accountable. If UPND wants to just paint a good picture about themselves, they will never plug, these holes, and money will continue leaking out of the country. Middle of the year, 3.5 billion United States dollars lost. What will happen at the end of the year? Given that this is UPND, I can tell you that is not the amount. The amount could even be 8 billion United States dollars. But because of this desire to change, to project a better picture, you end up receiving just 3.5 billion United States dollars. But if all this money remained in the country, how much would be the taxation? If all this money was declared to the state, how much are these players going to be taxed? And how much is this same money going to stimulate business growth within the borders of our country? Excuse me about that. How much jobs is this money going to stimulate? How much opportunities are we going to have? Now, because of carelessness, because of selfishness, where rich people can do whatever they want in the country, but if it is, poor people like Enoch, even if they kill you, it really doesn't matter. So you have a big problem. As a nation, you need to change the way you look at your resources. You need also to change the way you look at accountability. Until you become accountable, until you become transparent as a government, you will never see a situation where, this country is going to develop. You have a serious problem. My brother Emmanuel, today, as I speak, there is no development in the budget. Development is outside of the budget. If you think of any road that the UPND government has done, you begin with the much talked about Lusaka Ndola dual carriageway. It is outside of the budget. That is all they can do. But why is debt growing? If development is coming outside of the budget, If for UPND to create a road from Chingola to Chirabombwe, it has to be somebody funding it who is not in government. In other words, it's not the treasury. Then why are you growing the debt? Why are you growing the debt? Where are you taking the money? Where is the money that you are borrowing going if this is only consumption? We have a careless government in place.
Thank you, Honorable Mutotwe Kafwaya. Ladies and gentlemen, our dear audience, you'll be able to call in and participate in this debate. Let me just ask the last question to Honorable Mutotwe Kafwaya before I open the phone lines. Honorable Mutotwe Kafwaya, before we come to the issues of Patriotic Front, you're a member of the National Assembly. You know, you've been highly disturbed in Parliament. And I know that you are among the presidential candidates, the 8 that had paid to aspire to lead the Patriotic Front. Before we come to that, I think you've summarized the issues of the economy very, very well. It's in dire strait with the numbers and just the load shedding and the impact on the lives of our people speak for themselves. It doesn't need a statistician to tell you that our businesses are in distress, that there's no economy, there's no money in the economy, and even the so-called investment sometimes has just come from our own money. Look at the Lusaka Ndola dual carriage road. That's money that has actually stressed NAPSA. Look at the investment for Mamba Collieries, the expansion. Out of $600 million, $300 million has come from NAPSA. Again, it's public pension fund. That is our money. There is for investment in by First Quantum in Sentinel. They had said the bulk of that money will come from their VAT tax refund from ZRA. So even this so-called investment that is supposed to come from foreign lands may not be so. The 100 megawatts solar that was done in Chisamba is funds mostly, sourced from locally and, mortgaging the assets of Kariba North Bank, where then Stanbic syndicated the loan from South Africa and its own money to give ZESCO that project. So even this so-called investment doesn't really show that there's new money that is coming in the economy. Let's go to the issues of the opposition. Our people are distressed. Our people are suffering load shedding. Like you are saying, 19 hours of load shedding every day. How do you keep your food? How do you work? How do you create wealth and jobs in that environment? The extent of corruption, you touched on it partly when you said $3.5 billion leaves the country through illicit financial flows and just the numerous acts of corruption at ZMMSA, and which matter I want you to talk about, because there's an audit that was done under the National Audit Office, and government will not make it that public. That report will not come to you as parliamentarians, and it has not been given to the public, and they are hiding under the cover that such an important report has just gone to law enforcement agencies. Make your reflections before we go to the issues of the PF, and our people are looking up to the opposition. What are your views about opposition unity when you tackle the issues of the economy?
Okay, thank you so much, Ambassador, once again. Ambassador, I don't know if I've told you that UPND, in the 4 years that they have been in office, they have spent 872 billion kwacha. And I looked back to PF 4 years. I also took numbers for 4 years. And I found that in the 4 years, 2021, 2020, 2019, and 2018, PF spent 443 billion kwacha. Now, 443 billion kwacha compared to 872 billion kwacha in the same period of time, UPND has spent more than double what PF spent in the same period, in a similar period. And I'm telling you this, the numbers are very clear. Because if I just tabulate the numbers for avoidance of doubt, in 2025, UPND planned to spend 217 billion, but they came back with a supplementary budget of 34 billion, so that is 251. In 2024, they planned to spend 178 billion. They came back with a supplementary of 49 billion. That went to 227 billion. In 2023, they had planned to spend 167 billion with a supplementary of 12 billion. That's 199. In 2022, 173 billion with a supplementary of 22 billion. That's 195. And the total of that is 872 billion. This is the budget that has been blown by UPND in 4 years. And when you compare to PF 2021, 120 billion plus 20 supplementary 140. In 2020, 106 plus 6, that's 112. In 2019, 87 billion plus 10, that's 97. And in 2018, 72 billion plus 2 billion supplementary, that's 74 billion. The total 443. Now, I want you, Ambassador, to look at these numbers very carefully. 872 has produced no development whatsoever, except CDF vehicles and CDF activities. Do you know, Ambassador, that CDF for the entire 4 years of UPND put together is just 19.5 billion kwacha. Only 19.5 billion kwacha. Because in 2022, they had budgeted 3.2 billion. In 2023, it was 3.5 billion. In 2024, 6.7 billion. And in 2025, 6.1 billion. Put that together, it's 19.5 billion kwacha. Now, how can a normal government be talking about CDF in the manner they talk about it when there is a 872 billion which nobody knows where it goes? Because if you say, let's create a road, UPND will not get money from this 872 billion, they will go to NAPSA to get a road. So I have a serious problem with the way we look at our numbers as a nation. In this 443 billion that was spent during the PF, Ambassador, you will see airports, you will see hospitals, you're going to see roads, you're going to see telecommunication towers, you will see data centers, you will see a lot of development that just happened. Here in Lusaka, you go to hospitals like the Levi Mwanawasa, you see the expansions there. It's clear the 443 worked. But look at this 872 billion that UPND has, has spent, has blown. The only thing they'll be talking about the earth moving equipment bought from CDF. Let me tell you, CDF is only 19 billion for these 4 years. And that is not a figure that you can even be allowing the president to be talking about when on the other side there is 872 billion, which nobody wants to talk about. Talk about the 872. Where have you taken it? What development has it brought to the nation? Where have you applied all this amount? And this is why when we were speaking earlier of this, I told you, Ambassador, that I don't see any sense that is going to come out of the budget that will be brought as we open Parliament. Because 4 years later, there's nothing. 4 years later, the government is proudly talking about 19 billion when they have blown close to 900 billion. It's very, very unfortunate. But coming back to your question, which I think is an important question. The opposition needs to unite. There's no question about that. And that unity must begin with us in the PF. Because I think as things stand, we are the largest opposition political party, and we are the ones who must lead the way in demonstrating that we are capable of, uniting within and be able to move forward to rally the other political parties and help us to come and join forces with us so that we easily, as a nation, remove UPND, which is capable of spending 872 billion kwacha without explaining where the money has gone. It is going to be very difficult for UPND, the ambassador, to explain to the Zambian people that they mean well. You can't spend more than double the budget and do nothing within that budget. The only thing you do, listen, if you spend this money, why would you need USAID to give you money for, for medicines? When your friends spend half of that money, they were able to do roads. You are not doing roads. The only thing you are doing, if you do a road, it's, as I said earlier, it's outside of the budget. You haven't done a single road within the budget. You haven't done a single hospital within the budget. You haven't done a single, you've done nothing within the budget. The question is, Indalama Mutwala Kwisa, where do you take the money? Because you have spent more than double. This should not happen in a normal nation, to be very honest with you. Do you begin to connect why UPND does not want anybody, to talk about these matters? It is because what they have done just the most useless job a government can do to its people. And they think that when people begin to talk about these matters, they will be exposed. Many people are going to become aware that these people, all they love is rhetoric. They're just talking hard and doing nothing, cheating people, and taking advantage of the people. So I think that we need to spend time to tell our people that this is the situation we are in. At the same time, that UPND has blown 872 billion kwacha in 4 years. They have allowed 34.5 billion kwacha to live in illicit financial flows. They have allowed 60 billion kwacha to live in illicit financial flows. They have allowed 2.8 billion United States dollars, 3.5 billion United States dollars, another 3.5 billion United States dollars to live in illicit financial flows. So how careless can a government be for people to realize that this government doesn't mean well, for us? So
I laugh, Honorable. I laugh, Honorable, when I hear that that there is fiscal discipline by the president and his minister. So I really worry about that. Yeah, okay. So we will be able now to open phone lines. We are discussing various issues. I've got Honorable Mutotwe Kafwaya, Lunte, Member of Parliament, is very active in Parliament in providing checks and balances, in helping, protests, in bringing in private members, motion bill, in walking out of Parliament, out of those oppressive issues. Honorable Mutotwe Kafwaya has been very, very critical. So if you have anything to say on the matters that we've raised, from the matter of the young man whose life was taken away brutally, at a farm belonging to Maria Zalomis, popularly known as Z Farmer. If you have an issue regarding Hawela Hichilema, who has become a lieutenant in the Zambian National Service, his recruitment, I think the matters is around his father, not the choice of the young man. We have nothing to do with whatever he decides is a young man, but it's a duplicity by the father. Then the state of our economy, the state of corruption, whatever you wish to ask Honorable Mutotwe Kafwaya is co-hosting with me. You can call on the numbers listed below.
Personally, I mean, stopping national service was a grave mistake. I'm honest with you, those of us who went for national service, reflect on society today, what the kids are doing, the vulnerabilities that they go through, the fragility that you see in them. My own children, I can see that. And I've decided personally to send my children for military training. Not because they need to work in the military, but because they can acquire some resilience, life, survival skills. Just don't, even when we thrust them into business, into employment, those disciplines are very, very helpful. And as a government, we are now starting as our resource envelope.
Good evening. We have our first caller. Caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
My name, Kwai Nene Anonymous, Detumina Kunokwa Kaputa.
Kwai.
Nami Posha won't say na Poshana Honorable Mutotwe Kafwaya. If you like to have fuller, chance to a folk number, you have to give chance to others. Ine chinkumishe palisi na fimbi chakulanda ti umwana wabakateka natumfakali temu ina wamlandu nangu tewa atendeke na wamwingisha ubushirika twalaita fi ubushirika generally ubushirika mZMMSA ati training yakwe vayichitire mu Nkama tabamulembeshe shinali yakwe bakawunda bali kweta abana babu n'ubushirika bapanje kwena limbi na bakaweche nangu na bambiko Bushelo bayingiro bo bushirika fyo bwalondoluka not even ZMMSA bali bashirika bankondo mu regiment chakutifu balumbula bushirika bayingirira pamashina y'abanani chinshilero kwalabelo kwingiro bushirika personal ya muntu umbi tefoja liyo nangu temisoka fe imwe yaibela bantu nakubula ya abana bishikuru ba royal family bene Harry na bene William kubushirika bayile as William na yene mashina babonfya kunuma yabo Spencer na Mountbatten fyonsa filafini amashina yabo yaba takwanga ukwingira bushirika atipantu mwana wabakateka engile personanshi the registration card babomfashionisa bali amkuchita forge ku passport citizen office inga ama school certificates ya grade 12 niyesa babomfashe nangu kwali na fimbi fyabede nga babomfashe amashita kwa nani unafitanta mefingi filuwo ifya kuchita forge ifya kutipa kutimana bakateka yengile pali ya school ukwingira kutiangira line sambu ni Zambian citizen nobo kula kumfya amashina yambi she be if you chalo cha Zambia cha mwishibaze Zambian citizen with a green national registration card ushe fyalula mwisefyo file twala kwisa muwingi bwanshiku amabuteko yakisa abasonja bakeshiba bazona abakishinkani besa owaingirire personal yakwe no waingirire personal yakwe fisa pantu bawishini bakateka nangu bawishini ba district commission nangu bawishini ba chishi political chakuti mubuteko bwesu awe tuishi beko tuipusheko kutira busho bushirika bwali kwata kwensa mushamusango ubipaku bo mushirika wine kubala wafisa makumashina y'abantu atipaku tukuka be security pali yena nga pali ba mwana bakaunda ababashi abakalamba fedna abakula bashipala bapanji ku haba high commissioner ku Malawi bakaweche bali mu Zambia muno mu Zambia tulinabo bushika tulemono kwebati bose ababakulya fena yaye ne mashina ni ba major ni ba kaneo ZMMSA officer vyayiselelo elo valandia tipamu stationary yakwe awe uchachienti mkwaitule ipisha komwe buteko mu parliament mukachipushe umushirika ni security nshiri aba personal yakwe ashinga bonfya nelyo enga bonfya awe tachiwe mechi kwena mutu pisha ko tumfe parliament fo ikalanda mkwaiba honorable Mutotwe Kafwaya mutu asukile ko fena fimo pano pene tumfe pamula basa. Thank you mkwai.
Thank you.
My children, my biological children, have been stopped by me and my wife from working for government. None of them work for government. Why? It's to leave space for your children, yourself, to work for the government. Because HH's children are privileged. Now that they are privileged, they must allow others to also have access to income. Same principle. Same principle. I am funded by myself. The little investments we made when we were working for ourselves for such a long time, and I didn't go time, is now to...
Yes, caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from. Uh-oh. This caller is gone.
Allow others to have access to opportunity. That's why I'm in public office. That's why I serve public office. Is that not a good thing? Wonderful. My children, my biological children, have been stopped by me and my wife from working for government. None of them work for government. Why? It's to leave space for your children, yourself, to work for the government. Because HH's children are privileged. Now that they are privileged, they must allow others to also have access to income. Same principle. Same principle. I am funded by myself. The little investments we made when we were working for ourselves for such a long time, and I didn't go time, is now to allow others to have access to opportunity. That's why I'm in public office. That's why I serve public office. Is that not?
Honorable Mutotwe Kafwaya, I think you didn't comment on this one, so you can combine this issue with the question from Kaputa.
Okay, thank you so much. Ambassador, it appears this issue of Lieutenant Hichilema is coming up. Let me offer my position. My position is similar to many Zambians who think that Abuela is a Zambian citizen who has a right to pursue his happiness, and if that happiness would be derived from employment, then he is free to seek employment from any organization as long as he qualifies and the organization thinks he's capable of undertaking the tasks that are available for them to offer him. So I have no problem at the personal level with the young man getting a placement under ZMMSA. But and also the issue about his father is that I've gotten used to the fact that most of his pronouncements never come true. Remember that by now we'll be talking about near doubling the GDP. But the GDP is just as bad as it has been for a very long time. Now he has promised that if he gets a second mandate, he will double the GDP. But that promise was there before. What has happened to the GDP? Remember the promises of fuel becoming so cheap as 13 quarter and so on. If you recall the promises of fertilizer, 50 kg bag, 250, none of those promises has become a reality today. The promises of national unity, uniting the nation. Today the nation is more divided than it has ever been. So you have a problem with his pronouncement. And because of that, dwelling on what he said is also, I think, wasting time for the Zambian people, because how many things has he said and he has failed to fulfill? It's plenty in there. So the issue is the government needs not to justify the employment of the young man, because it's free to get employed. The fact that government found it fit to go and justify, to me, shows that there's something wrong. And I can't claim what is wrong, but I'll tell you from what I heard. Somebody said this young man has joined on a voluntary basis. His friend, who they paraded, went and said, no, we underwent training together and we graduated together. The PS, one PS said, no, he went through all training protocols. And the PS was saying that wasn't even part of the training. So you have a big problem. Then the young man who graduated with him came and started admiring Abuela's humility. But in the same admiration, he says Abuela was offered a position in the government of ZMMSA. And Abuela declined because he didn't want to be treated differently. Listen to me. In Zambia Army, Zambia Air Force, Zambia Police, and ZMMSA, you work with commands. Abuela was given a position, that's a command, and he declined it. So this Abuela was capable of declining a command, and you can't tell me that you admire his humility. For me, those are the things which help me to think that there really is a problem. I saw a picture where Abuela was shown he had lifted something. He was the only one among all others who was lifting something. Why would this particular person be lifting something and be shown on a picture as lifting, an article and all others don't have? Abuela is the only person who was given a different name. How do you give a different name to a person who should be treated like all others? So the fact that there are all these, issues coming out means that there is a problem. And that problem should be dealt with honestly by those who employed him. And those who are trying to hide whatever it is that they are trying to hide. It is very unfortunate. And
Let me take some more calls. Let me just take some more calls. Thank you. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Thank you so much, Ambassador Mwamba, for bringing Honorable Kafwaya. Honorable Kafwaya, thank you so much for coming. I'm really impressed about your the way you've explained a lot of issues. I've got only a few questions, Honorable Kafwaya. You're a member of Parliament. Honorable, this government wanted to push Bill 7 into Parliament. And you will know what Bill 7 was going to do to our nation if it had gone through. But according to the government, it's been deferred, but the Constitutional Court says it shouldn't be deferred. It should be stopped. But Honorable Kafwaya, my worry is, how is the unity of opposition just in Parliament? Because the UPND government needed about 25 or so MPs for that bill to pass through. But how come they were so confident that the bill was going to go through? That's my first question. The second question, Honorable Ambassador Mwamba has gone through a number of issues, and you can see that our economy is in dire stress. I was in Zambia. I saw what was happening. Not only the economy, there is lack of unit of purpose for the first time. We divided as a nation. Zambia, the economy, as I stated, is in a terrible situation. There's shrinking democratic space. And also, Zambia, there is no adherence to the rule of law. It's like Zambia is becoming an elitist nation. We've heard about the young man who was killed. And it looks like the police have already judged. Because in a normal democracy, this matter needs to be tried in court. And if the person is found not guilty, that's when they can close this matter. So what are you going to do about this as a member of Parliament? There should be a committee in Parliament that deals with issues like this, And then the other point, Kafwaya, we've talked about all the things that are happening in Zambia, Bill 7, the economy is in a terrible situation. And then Zambians, Kafwaya, all of us, we wanted all the opposition parties to unite under what they call the opposition front or whatever they call it. But it looks like a lot of political parties are saying they're going to go on, a number of political parties, they say they're going to go on their own. And time is running. And you have also seen, it's like there's a plan behind in which they will be arresting most of the opposition leaders. Kasonde Mwenda has been jailed for 3 months as a member of Parliament. What does that mean? Does that mean he's qualified to stand as a presidential candidate? And what do you think about all the political parties coming together and field one candidate? And then the question is, should that candidate be not a PF member? Will PF accept that? I rest my case.
Thank you very much, Chilufya from the United Kingdom. Honorable, let me bring you in. You answer quickly those questions. Let me just bring you in quickly. We see what, just a minute, so that I can bring you in. Kasonde Mwenda, something has happened.
In our country,
Honorable, sorry, you can answer the question from Chilufya. UK is asked two key issues. You know, the role of the PF in the opposition and the quest to unite the opposition, and what you are doing in Parliament to matters like this case of the young man whose life was taken away in Chisamba. You can answer.
Okay, so thank you so much. I think he makes a lot of comments, very important and valid ones, all of them. What made the UPND confident that they were going to push through Bill 7? I think it was arrogance. If you recall, the first time that President Hakainde spoke about amending the constitution in the National Assembly of Zambia, he advanced the delimitation as the reason for that. And I was the first person that condemned that, because I didn't see in numbers what was going to support that, because the country had already been in dire straits. We were already having to survive on a budget financed by borrowing. So I thought it was illogical to begin considering increasing the number of members of parliament before we can improve ourselves by improving the economy. Then when it comes to issues that affect the people, there are several ways in which these matters can be brought to the floor of the House. I think that members of parliament like myself can take up a matter such as this through perhaps an urgent matter without notice. I could do a private member's motion, and I could do a motion on adjournment. But the issues that go to committees are normally directed by the Speaker. So this is normal business. I don't think an incident such as this can be directed by the Speaker unless there's a petition where the citizens petition the Speaker to look at this particular case. Then the Speaker can decide to refer the matter to a particular committee, an existing committee, or she can consider appointing a new committee altogether and be able to push that through. Then in terms of uniting the opposition, the specific question is that should a candidate emerge who is not a member of the PF, what is our reaction going to be as members of the Patriotic Front Party? I think on that it is impossible for me, or very difficult at least, to speak on behalf of the party and its possible reaction if a proposition such as this became a reality. I think that we should all promote unity. We should all think of a way of uniting regardless of the hurdles that are going or that may come ahead of us. And this is the spirit we must cultivate. Because of that, I do think that we must develop flexibility in our imagination and be able to respond to a matter such as this if it does arise. But to speak on behalf of the party is very complex for me. I think that I am unable to offer what the reaction of the party may be, because the PF has got a way of taking decisions. The PF has got the Central Committee, which sits to evaluate issues and then take a position. So clearly, a position would come after we will have sat in the Central Committee and decided on how we would respond to a matter such as this if it did occur.
Thank you. Thank you. I've got another caller here. Caller, please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
I'll be called anonymous for day. I'm calling from Central Province.
Yes, sir.
I have a question for the Honorable. I was reading the other day in the newspaper, and the newspaper said we have some diesel crisis. Yeah, and knowing that, my question to the Honorable is that since he's also on the options for a presidential candidate, if he's chosen and if he's elected into power, first, what policies or ideas does he have to resolve this energy crisis we are facing as a country? And the second question which I have is on the debt burden. I heard him also talking about the debt and the likes. What ideas and policies can he introduce for us at least to fully restructure this debt or pay it off? Yeah, thank you, Ambassador.
Thank you. Honorable, quickly answer those two.
Yes, sir. Thank you so much. I missed his name, but I did hear that it's from Central Province. And I asked what ideas that I may have regarding sorting out the issues of energy crisis in form of fuel. I think you see, you don't speak to a particular problem in view of a policy. What was reported is something that may happen. We could have a diesel crisis in our country, and there should be a specific reason as to why this particular crisis is occurring or is about to occur. Now, that is not the only issue that must inform the policy that you develop around the sector. Sectors must be run with integrity. Remember that we have been complaining about the access to the pipeline. This complaint was not just from us. IMF also complained to government. Until government, I don't know how far they have gone in implementing an open access to this issue. So clearly, for me, what is required is analysis of the condition and then determining, when you analyze the condition in terms of where you are, you have to generate options and then evaluate those options and choose the very best option. And this interaction may not be sufficient for us, to go and analyze what exactly is happening in the fuel subsector of energy in our country, and be able to generate options. Which options, again, we have to evaluate and choose the very best. So clearly, you have to introduce integrity in the manner you select options for public service delivery. So I think that accountability is going to be key. Transparency is going to be key, and then you can be able to choose options that save, our people in a much more effective way than what we have, right now.
Thank you, the issue of let me pick some more calls so that we begin to then pick the calls and then wind up. Hello, caller. Please tell us your name and where you are calling us from.
Yes, please. Honorable Emmanuel Mwamba, good evening.
Good evening.
Good evening, Honorable Mutotwe Kafwaya.
Thank you. Good evening.
Aaron Zulu. Yes, please. Aaron Zulu is my name. I'm calling from Botswana. Yes, please. My question is there any law that can compel the president when he abrogates the law, like we are seeing today, while he's in office? Because we have seen many times the law is being abrogated. And the other question is, what happens if somebody, or when we choose a president, or when we elect the president, what happens if we don't sworn him in using the Bible? Because at that moment, that ceremony, we normally see president saying that I'm going to uphold and follow the law or the laws of Zambia and the constitution and so on. So what happens if it's not done like that? That's my question.
Thank you very much, Mr. Zulu from Botswana. There was a question of Kasonde Mwenda, and that isn't this a ploy to eliminate all competition? I think Chulfia from the UK raised that matter. Maybe you can quickly answer the two.
Okay, thank you so much. Ambassador, remind Mr. Kasonde that we have lost 7 members of parliament, UPND government. It is the first time that, in one parliament, you are going to lose 7 members of parliament, and I can name them. Honorable J. Banda is out, Honorable Chitotela is out, Honorable Bowman Lusambo is out, Honorable Nixon Chlangwa is out, Honorable Munia Zulu is out, Honorable Mawonga is out, whoever I missed, Honorable Malanji is out. It has never happened. This is the first time in the history of Zambia that you are going to have 7 members of parliament taken out of the house by the government. It has never happened. And when people are talking about the, the narrowing, down of the democratic space, these are some of the issues. But yes, we believe that there is a political reason for why members of parliament are losing their positions, and also why some of the opposition leaders are getting convictions. There is a political reason. There may be no question about that. But also, we have to continually reflect on the issues and make determinations. It's unfortunate that Kasonde Mwenda has been, has been sentenced, but I hear it's simple imprisonment. I have to check what that implies in terms of whether he can contest elections or not. But yes, political reasons are always going to be there. So what can we do to the president if they fail to uphold the constitution which they swore to uphold? You see, we can impeach the president. The National Assembly of Zambia can impeach the president. But because an impeachment requires numbers in the National Assembly, it is nearly impossible or very difficult to convince people, because everybody must be patriotic enough to be able to achieve an impeachment. This is why in some countries where their democracies have developed much more than ours, they are able to work, on a bipartisan basis to impeach a leader who is abrogating their rules. So here, if you don't uphold the constitution, and I can tell you, UPND has abrogated the constitution several times, but we have been unable to impeach this president because we don't have sufficient numbers. Even if we begin a process of impeaching him, it is likely to fail because UPND has the majority in parliament. So what you have remained with is that voters card and that NRC. This is why every Zambian across the country should go and register to vote, so that come next year, this month, next year, you go and vote out that which has been breaking the constitution, which has been breaking laws anyhow, which has been treating people differently, even when people are supposed to be treated equally before the law, but they are treated differently. So you have to take part, and your voice must be counted. But what if you don't use the Bible in getting in being sworn in. We are still a Christian country. We are still a Christian. Should be encouraged that all people taking an oath should use the Bible. I know that recently we've had Freemasonry retreats in Livingstone. I know that a lot of issues connected to Satanism are being discussed. I know that there are a lot of taboos that are out there for people to have a conversation about. But we are still a Christian nation, and we should hope to restore this nation to its, real status of being a Christian nation, where people should be compassionate, where you don't look. You don't kill people the way this young man has been killed in Central Province. It's evil. It's something that should not happen. But for us to do that, let's restore Zambia as a Christian nation. And I don't know if Zambian people can judge UPND as having a heart for restoration, having a heart to restore this country to what its core values are, and that of Christianity being one of them.
Yeah, thank you, Honorable. In fact, as we begin to wind up, what do you think the opposition can do better? We are always accused, the opposition is always accused that we just criticize President Hakainde Hichilema and the UPND government and offer no solutions. Just speak to what you think if a leadership from the opposition rose and replaced President Hakainde Hichilema, what should be done differently?
Okay, thank you so much, Ambassador. Ambassador, let's be clear. Let's be very clear. UPND has a mandate to manage the affairs of the nation. So, for the most part, we should look at the policies that are being developed by UPND. Because if I develop a policy myself, I have no mandate to govern the Zambian people. And if I take that policy, to which ministry will I take that policy? Which minister is going to adopt it? Which minister will take it to cabinet for ratification? So clearly, for us, we must just develop a clear manifesto, which manifesto then is going to be sold to the people as an alternative program. And when we make our comparison with what UPND is doing, we should be able to demonstrate to the Zambian people the clear differences that are there. For example, when we want to deal with the issue of national division, how differently are we going to handle this matter when you compare to UPND? Are you going, to maintain status quo? Are you going to improve the situation? How? So our manifesto should be able to demonstrate that. Frankly speaking, even the selection of people who we must front in terms of explaining these programs should demonstrate that we are capable. We are serious about the undertaking that we are about. So I see us as developing a manifesto, but also looking deeply into the policies of UPND. And I think that's at a personal level, I do a lot of analysis when it comes to issues that are produced by UPND, because I want to understand. I don't want to come and criticize UPND without having understood what policy I'm talking about. So understanding is key, but also an alternative program is needed in terms of a new manifesto. For us in the PF, we have a very good manifesto which just needs to be adapted to emerging issues.
And your presidential ambition, you have not spoken about it. Are they still active?
Thank you so much. You see, I am one of the few people who will go to the convention at the right time. As you know, we we have already closed the applications, meaning that there are very few of us that are remaining, and some of our friends, unfortunately, have been met with very difficult circumstances. So there are very few of us who still have a chance to go to the convention. And yes, I will contest at the convention because I made the application. It is clear to the party and it is clear to everybody. So we are just waiting for the right time. Yes, my ambitions are still very, very clear.
Thank you, thank you. We're hosting Honorable Mutotwe Kafwaya, Member of Parliament for Lunte constituency. Northern Province is a very active member in our Parliament. He's also been very instrumental. Let me just take the last 5 calls, then I allow Honorable Mutotwe Kafwaya to answer, then we make closing remarks. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Ambassador Mwamba, good evening. It's Chilufya from the UK.
Yes, Chilufya from the UK. The other Chilufya, because we have 2 Chilufyas from the UK.
There's always 2 on your program, yes.
Yeah.
Can I just say something quickly?
Yes.
As with regards to the question that you posed to the Honorable
Mutotwe Kafwaya.
MP. Yes. Where you were speaking about policies and all. Personally, I would tell you that the answer should be reducing the powers of the president. You've been to the UK, Ambassador. You know the House of Commons is completely different from Whitehall. Whitehall is where you find civil servants. As long as we get, the biggest problem we have got is every president who has come in appoints his permanent secretaries. This is why we've got people like, what's this boy's name?
Tabokawan.
The musician.
Oh, okay. From Ministry of Youth and Sport.
That shouldn't happen, Ambassador. It shouldn't be happening.
Pilato, I think you meant.
Those positions are supposed to... Pardon?
You meant Pilato, the musician.
Yes. Those positions are not supposed to be appointed. I understand about, the defense forces and all. The police, no. The IG should not be appointed. That is where the problem is. If you and I were to live another 200 years, Ambassador, we will still be facing the same problem. I've got to go. Thank you.
Thank you very much. That caller is asking about the professionalism that our civil service has not been kept professional. Let me see if there's 2 more callers that we can take before Honorable Mutotwe Kafwaya answers and gives his last remarks. There's been some fundamental development in the foreign service of our country. It's a matter that I should have brought to your attention. Israel is reopening its embassy in Zambia. The foreign minister, Gideon Saha, I think should have arrived in Lusaka yesterday, and is supposed to inaugurate the new embassy. The embassy was closed 50 years ago because of, I think, the stance by the African Union, OAU at the time, to ensure that Palestine became free. Dr. Kaunda complied with the sanctions that were decided by the African Union. But Dr. Frederick Chiluba reopened the bilateral relations in 1991 But Israel hadn't responded. They did respond, and they've been saving our country from Nairobi. But for the first time, there will be now an official embassy in Zambia. And the Foreign Affairs Minister of Israel has traveled to Zambia for that purpose. Honorable Kafwaya, maybe you can answer the concerns by our colleague and begin to offer your last remarks as I let you go, because of the power issues in our country. You had to, secure yourself somewhere and have to allow and give you time to, go back to a safe place. Please answer the query and begin to give your closing remarks.
Okay, thank you so much, Ambassador, and thank you to Chilufya from the UK. So Chilufya thinks that, clipping the powers of the president is the answer to the question. Look, there's no single wrong or correct answer, but reducing the powers of the president requires the constitutional amendments in our country. And it is this constitutional amendment process which brought into being the Bill 7 that we were talking about earlier. So if we assess our constitution in such a manner that it requires amendment, personally, I don't think as a country this is a time for us to be talking about amending the constitution. I think that we must exploit our current constitution. We must test our current constitution. We must implement this constitution in a manner that is beneficial to people. But also, the other thing that we must consider as a nation is to properly assess those who aspire to lead. Because you can't just accept this person or the other without assessing them. This is why we end up with leaders who take powers they don't have, who abuse the constitution, who commit so strong offenses such that they begin to fear to leave office, and then you create a situation where leaders want to stay in power in perpetuity because they are going to be in serious trouble. We need to strengthen our institutions, but doing so requires political will. Because how can you strengthen the Anti-Corruption Commission in Zambia, which is headed by a UPND member? It's not possible. How can you strengthen the Electoral Commission of Zambia, which is headed by a UPND member? It's not possible. So you have to develop meritocracy, and these are decisions, that you make as a people, and follow them. Even as a leader, you have to purpose in your heart that you are going to pursue meritocracy. You are going to pursue merit. Make sure that you appoint people for it. Yes, the Constitution may give you the powers to make these appointments, but your appointments must be on merit. Your appointments must reflect, the values as contained in the Constitution. And if you are not going to do that, you will have a situation where you appoint people like those commissioners at ECZ who are UPND, and when they take decisions, all those decisions are embarrassing to government. Listen, if I was in government, I would be embarrassed by the majority of decisions that come out of ECZ. The reason is the government has failed to deploy meritocracy. By way of concluding, I would like to say, as a country, we have a chance.
Before you conclude,
our chance
Honorable,
is coming.
just a minute. Before you conclude, it appears there's still some callers that want your views, but let's see. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and quickly make your contributions.
Thank you so much, Honorable. Thank you so much, Ambassador Mwamba. I have just a short three contributions that I want to make. The first contribution is on the death of the boy who was killed by this prominent farmer. I would encourage the government that they do a thorough investigation so that justice should prevail in that death, like what the Honorable said, that we don't need to select in terms of justice because of people's profile and other things. So the government, in order to show the public that indeed we are safe in this country, they should make sure that the investigation are well carried on, and those that have done that are brought to book perfectly. The other thing that I would ask the Honorable is, does the opposition have any intentions maybe to engage the government, where you can have some national indaba, where you bring your views, or rather you bring your demands and etc. Because it has been seen as we speak, but we don't engage the same government which doesn't listen anyway. But has there been some attempt by the opposition to engage this government in terms of a national indaba, where you can bring a lot of demands? Because at the moment this government needs to be given a lot of demands, a lot of pressure. As you can see, even in the death of someone, there's a lot of pressure even to come to the conclusion of a post-mortem. That is one of the second question. My third question is, what assurance do we have that during the convention that you have next year, I don't know whether it's this year, that there will be a perfect conversion, that we will not see where you raise a lot of maybe you separate, or you have some difficulties in holding them, where there are some differences. What are some of the assurance you give us that it will not be a kind of a conversion that will bring out some problems, because we are relying on you at the moment? So those are just my few questions that I wanted to ask, Honorable. Thank you.
Yes, he had been calling, and his call couldn't go through, but I just saw that there were so many missed calls from one number, and I thought that we could take just two last calls. Hello, caller, please tell us your name and where you're calling us from.
Mwamba. Friday Tema, calling from Birmingham in England.
Yes, Friday Tema, make your contribution, sir.
It's Freddie, yes. Friday is my young brother.
Oh, okay.
Anyway,
yes.
Yes. The point that the Honorable Kafwaya has just been articulating is a very important one. He was talking about merit of an individual. The assumption that I think has been a wrong one in our country is that those people who are elected into power, the ones that we call the ruling party, it appears that they assume that they are the most intelligent, they are the all-knowing. And as such, they tend to over-assume power to make legislations that only suit their party. But they forget that they are there to actually unite the entire nation. What is going on in our country is a completely, I think, uncalled for situation where the country is so divided. I don't want to go into why it is divided, but I think everyone knows. What is supposed to happen, in my own view, and it's a very strong view, any party that is elected into office as the ruling party should not be there with a certain unknown number of MPs in parliament. But we should be having a situation where all the other parties, because they've subscribed members who have actually declared that they are leaders, they've got potential. I think that should be considered. And those people we should find a way in our new constitution where all those people who have been in what are now known as the opposition parties are considered to be potential leaders. And as such, they should be given responsibilities based on their merits. What is it that they can bring to the table of governance of a nation like Zambia? What happens now is we sideline everyone. They start shouting, crying from outside the fence. we are doing checks and balances. You can't do proper checks and balances from outside. We can't know what the ruling party is doing. We should be working with them so that the fruits are actually from the contribution of all the members. And I call it synergistic thinking teams paradigm or model, so that the different members are working together. The constitution needs to be looked into. There is too much power vested in one party and one president. And this is what leads to things that we're experiencing. Thank you, Ambassador.
Oh, thank you very much. I think those were the last two calls. And Honorable, I'll let you make your closing remarks. Our callers are very active participants. And if we keep the line open, they'll never stop calling. And I'm grateful for the contribution they make to this program. But unfortunately, we have to allow Honorable Mutotwe Kafwaya to wind up, attend to other matters. And it's late in the night. It's not good for the opposition in Zambia to be exposed to any serious risks. Make your contributions and your last remarks, what we allow you to go. After that, I'll play some videos and then I'll fade out the program.
Thank you so much, Ambassador, and thank you so much to my two colleagues who just pushed in. Ambassador, I would like to start by appreciating everybody who's taken part in this program tonight. I think this is how it should be. But to respond specifically to the first three questions, the last question of the first question was, give us assurance that your convention is going to be perfect, that you are not going to separate after that. My assurance is that when the party opened these applications, we did make applications. The application period has been closed. Now we are just waiting to go to the convention. And it is known who is going to the convention. And I think all of us are comfortable with each other, such that whoever emerges winner among ourselves, who made the applications, we will be able to rally behind that winner and offer our utmost support. So from where I stand, I don't see any problem. I don't see a point of departure. What I see is a consolidation which is going to result from the endorsement of the people of a leader of their choice. And that is a leader that will be supported. Intentions of Indaba with the current administration. I think the death of former President Edgar Lungu has given you an example of what Indaba UPND government is capable of having with those with whom they have, divergent views. I think that it is important for government to play the bigger person and be able to invite the opposition into any meaningful endeavor. And I believe that the opposition should be able to welcome any meaningful, well-meaning proposal by government to have a conversation. But frankly, if you ask me what my opinion is, President Lungu's death has given you a very good example. And an outcome of that nature is more likely than not, because we already have an example. The death of the boy should be investigated. The police should know that they have to treat everybody equally. The young man is dead, for God's sake. A family has lost. Offering them our condolences may not be enough. We should provide more answers. And to do that, we need a thorough investigation which actually speaks to the realities of what could have happened to the young man. I thoroughly endorse this thinking. Police must ensure that they do a thorough investigation. The question from this was more like a comment to educators in terms of synergistic thinking. which I subscribe to 100%. But look, it says if you have a person more powerful or a party more powerful, you have a situation where they begin to create laws that are to support them, and is not far from the truth. Consider the Cyber Crimes Act. You consider the Cyber Security Act. Consider the introduction of the unconstitutional Bill 7. You think about Bill 13, where government wanted a civil servant to start cancelling titles of land. Think about the CCTV Act. You find that UPND has proposed and or enacted acts of parliament that are completely against the aspirations of the people. And this is where I think the man from Birmingham says you should be able to consider those people who have experience, who have been through the mill, but on the opposition side of the house, to take up certain positions that can help government. And you don't have to change the constitution because for cabinet, any member of parliament can be a cabinet member. And the president is not prohibited from appointing people who were in parliament and are out of parliament, but are also opposition. The president can do that. This is why Dr. Nevas was appointed to go to Zimbabwe. And the work that he did in Zimbabwe is there for everybody to see. This is why also other people have been appointed. We know that. So clearly the constitution doesn't have to be touched. At the moment, the president has the capacity to work with anyone. Like it is believed that he's working with Honorable Chavinga, who is PF. And Honorable Chavinga himself has circulated certain views that we all know about what they have been, choreographing. So we know that the president can work with anyone. And or UPND in general can work with anybody. Coming now to my final remarks, Ambassador, I would like to wish our country all the very best. I fully understand the difficulties that we are going through as a nation. And I think that it will take a leadership that is patriotic to be able to end these difficulties. Zambia doesn't have the luxury of experimenting, not any further. The people that are known should be put where they belong. The people who have been tested and have been found to be toxic, people who have been tested and have been found, to be shot, should just be requested to step aside. And those who have been tested and who have been found to be fit to lead people, those who have demonstrated love for people, patriotism to the nation, should be given chance to lead this country so that they can correct all of the sectors of our country, beginning with our cash cow, which is the mining sector, and then spread this wealth into developing agriculture and tourism. Because frankly speaking, copper has finished in Kitwe. What else will create employment in that part of the country? It is only tourism, because the mining which took place in that area has damaged the soil. So even if you say, let's take agriculture there and be strong on agriculture, agriculture will never perform as it could have performed if mining activities never took place in that area. So you have to begin to think outside the box, create a situation where places like Kitwe can also create sustainable employment. And tourism may be one solution you have. But also think about the innovation of the young people. Think about the film industry, where young people thrive. Think about all of these emerging issues and see how you can integrate them in your national planning and then resource them and create hope, for our young people. So I wish Zambia all the best. And I hope that as we transition in this year coming, we'll be able to create a better nation. One Zambia, one nation.
Wonderful, wonderful presentation by Honorable Kafwaya Mutotwe. I'd like to thank you for gracing this opportunity and this program. EMV is your platform. Every time there's any issue, you can just call me, even at short notice. We can even do a short-hour program just to deal with the specific issue. You were coming on this program for the first time, and I thank you for your contribution and your sacrifices and what you are doing in that parliament. I think the people of Zambia are very proud of you, the opposition, who are trying to put up a pushback to this monster, this monstrosity we have witnessed in Parliament. God bless you and travel safely.
Thank you.
To our dear viewers, I'll release my dear brother, Honorable Mutotwe Kafwaya, Member of Parliament for Lunte in Lunte and Mporokoso constituencies are under one constituency, although Lunte is more near to Luwingu, if you know the geography of Luwingu. He's done very well in the constituency and he's been a remarkable contributor in Parliament. And even during his short stint as Minister of Communications as Transport, there are various things he pushed, including, the issues of trying to take cargo onto rail so that we can utilize and reinvest in our rail systems and free our roads from those huge traffics that actually damage our roads. So thank you very much, Honorable Mutotwe Kafwaya. Look up for another broadcast on Friday. We have a few leaders lined up. We want them to commit to issues of unity. We want them to commit to the unity of purpose in the opposition that they can present, probably even a unified candidate, you never know, and just rally them around the issues to rescue our country. On this platform, we say it's independence 2.0. That's what the 2026 elections will be. It's not a casual affair. It's independence 2.0. So I'll leave you with some videos over the issues we've discussed, and God bless you. You can go, Honorable Mutotwe Kafwaya. You are free. Thank you very much. Shalom.
Stopping national service was a grave mistake. I'm honest with you. Those of us who went for national service, reflect on society today, what the kids are doing, the vulnerabilities that they go through, the fragility that you see in them. My own children, I can see that. And I've decided personally to send my children for military training. Not because they need to work in the military, but because they can acquire some resilience, life, survival skills. Just don't, even when we thrust them into business, into employment, those disciplines are very, very helpful. And as a government, we are now starting with, as our resource envelope improves, with what we are calling voluntary national service. And I think there will be a lot of young guys taking up that voluntary national service.
Thank you very much, Director. Ladies and gentlemen, members of the press, good morning. Good morning. Allow me to start by recognizing the presence of the Permanent Secretary, Ministry of Defense, Mr. Mambo Hamaundu, and officers from the Zambia National Service who have joined us this morning. As you may be aware, there was some misinformation that was being spread on various social media platforms after some people learned that the President's son was one of the several Zambians commissioned as ZNS officers a few days ago. I wish to state the facts as follows. 1. Lieutenant Hawela Hichilema successfully attended the Officer Selection Board, a legal requirement for becoming an officer. These are interviews that include physical exams, medical exams, oral and written exams. you will note that if one fails any of these exams, one is excluded from undergoing the training. So for you to be selected to go ahead with the training, you must pass these exams: physical, medical, oral, written. Number two, he was not given any special treatment and went through the standard training process. As a matter of fact, he never trained as a Hichilem. He was given a training name to ensure that instructors did not get intimidated or prefer special treatment upon him. So even as he joined the training, he was given a training name and did not use his father's name or his actual name. He is a Hichilema, but he was given a training name. This was done to ensure that the instructors...
My children, my biological children, have been stopped to allow others to have access to opportunity. That's why I'm in public office. That's why I serve public office. Is that not a good thing?
Andira, walk us through what more we know about the scale of this incident.
Good morning, Jen. So what we know is that it's far bigger than what had been anticipated or reported by the government. Initially, the government reported only 50,000 tons had been released into the river, but the report by Zarat reveals that up to 30 times more was released, which puts it at 1.5 million tons. And to put this into context, this is toxic waste that can fill over 400 Olympic-sized swimming pools. And it's not just any form of toxic waste. It contains heavy metals like arsenic, cyanide, and uranium. And all this was released into the river, and now they're terming it as one of the worst mining disasters that have ever been recorded globally. And we saw the U.S. also issue a warning on the scale of this disaster, recall its people who are in the area and the surrounding areas, and we've seen the Finnish and Australian embassy update their health reports that they've put out. We are also seeing Transparency International call out the government and say that this poses severe long-term effects, particularly if immediate measure is not taken. But this doesn't look like the priority of the government. They have severely downplayed the effects of this disaster and overplayed their hand. For a river whose pH is worn, this is as acidic as it gets. It can dissolve human bones, but the government said we've poured some lime into it. We are neutralizing the acidity, going as far as saying the water is safe. Some government officials have tried to drink it, but this does not negate how big and how deep the scope of this disaster runs.
And it could certainly complicate the relationship Zambia has with China, who's been one of its biggest investors over the past few years, surely.
Absolutely, because SML is a state-owned company, and its parent company had pledged to spend at least $1.3 billion to support Zambia's bid to triple their copper production. Hakainde Hichilema wants to increase production from 1 million tons annually up to 3 million tons annually, and this is money that could have gone a long way. And maybe that's why we're seeing the government being very diplomatic, tiptoeing around the issue so that they don't tip some live wires and make this investment go into the back burner. Zambia is also in the process of restructuring their debt with Chinese lenders to a tune of $5.6 billion, and that's something that they also do not want to jeopardize. But there's also something to be said about China's insatiable appetite for minerals, particularly across the African continent, and they're leaving a trail of disasters that is beginning to taint their carefully curated image of worthy partners in these win-win situations. We've seen fatalities in mining sites. We've seen conflict between mining companies and communities. We are now seeing environmental disasters coupled with corruption and fraudulent activities. China needs to go back to the drawing board and rethink how it's going to do business, particularly mining on the African continent.
Wimbo watemenwa katongi abazunga batita katongi nagula kwibukiza kateka kaibugubuna kapona neseko syove pamenso yangwa umebaya iyaba ume iyaba ume kateka wa bantu konke milimo shove Ale filamba yena minta pengosile eti kumemo kulondolola vale lilo wingi
iseko wingi mwakwete isaso wingi mwakwete mwaya mwende wino tata wesu
katushi muchibo kege wali bomba kale lomba mwatu jatuleli laki Mupangana chiba
Benda Mupanga mwine Oya mwine Ide lalila
Yangu ya mama Ala nacho wabye Mama Mama, utituwa na basiani, chagua katuse.